What's up, everyone? I had to shut that off. Sorry. We have welcome to the live stream, the second one that we're doing. You know, I wanted to throw this in there to start out right off the bat. Remember last week I told you, hey, just getting started with this. Gonna have to upgrade some stuff, do a little stuff. I tell you right now, this last week has been a learning experience for me when it comes to the technical side of things because I have a hell of a lot of stuff to learn. However, got myself a new camera. And then once I plugged in my new camera, I realized my computer is about 12 years old. So I was told, look, Steve, if you want your new camera to work, you are going to need a new computer. And for all those that don't know, new computers are not cheap, to say the least. And so I ended up getting not only a new camera, but I also got a new computer. So the new camera is one of those nice ones, I guess. Certainly better than the one that I had. The one I had was over 10 years old, too. Now we've got a nicer one. I don't know if I'm coming across more clear. I should be. This resolution is supposed to be a gazillion times better. So I think I should be coming across a lot clearer. Are you seeing more wrinkles in my face? Are you seeing the thinning in my hair? Maybe you are. Maybe you aren't. I don't know. I don't know how it's coming across. But again, thank you all for coming in to this particular Sunday night chat. We're going to go over quite a few things here. First, I'm going to have to turn on my ceiling fan. I'm already starting to get hot in here. But we're going to go over a little bit of Jenn spoilers. Got some photos for you. I'm going to tell you my crazy pregnancy story that I realized is very, very similar to Clayton's. And I knew this, but I actually went back into my phone back to 2015 on my text messages from my ex, and I have them. I'm going to show you them and realize what I was dealing with back in 2015. That is so similar. When I was reading these texts, I was like, Jesus, this is Laura Owens 9 years ago. It's crazy. So I'm going to show those, and then we're going to go over a little bit more. David Gingras, Laura's lawyer, has spoken out, and I just have some thoughts on him, and then one other thought on Laura. Then we're going to take your questions. Obviously, I am now monetized on YouTube, so you can join me in a super chat if you'd like to do that. You can Venmo, you can PayPal. Those banners are I got to get that banner going. Oh, sorry. There they are. Those are the way. If you want to donate, you can. Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. You can join me on the super chats as well. Send in a super chat and we'll get to those. We're going to answer your questions probably the last, 30, 35 minutes of this live. Probably going to try and go like an hour every night. By the way, I need to turn on my ceiling fan here. Hang on a second. You can see my 1.21 gigawatts shirt. How about that? God, I hate the fact that my microphone is covering up Doc Brown's face. There you go. See, here it is. Here's the thing. My microphone is at the edge of my desk. I'd literally have to hold my microphone like this, and I don't want to do that. Or maybe one of these times, since I'm already investing in so much money here with my camera, with my new computer that's like 3 feet tall or whatever, maybe instead of that, I get one of those mics that comes across like this and latches onto my desk. I guess that would be the next purchase to make, right? I don't know if I'm going to do it, but considering I'm just blowing all this money into better equipment to look better and come across more aesthetically pleasing for the YouTube show, maybe I will get a mic that comes across like this, or one of that arms that move and whatever. So I don't have to talk into it like this. It's just here. And then you can actually see my shirts. Because I'm telling you right now, every single week that I'm on the YouTube live, and look, we're also going to have YouTube lives randomly during the middle of the week. Like if I think something's important, I'm basically stealing Dave Neal's playbook. Anytime something important, whether in Bachelor Nation or whatever, I'm just going to go live. It's fun. We're going to do that. But every single week, I'm going to have a new, probably 80s related t-shirt on. I have like at least 10 Back to the Future shirts. I've got probably 6 to 8 Karate Kid shirts. I've just got so many. I literally have over 60 t-shirts now, a collection of 80s movies, TV shows, quotes. So yeah, you're going to see a new one. I'm going to try. You know what I need to do? I actually need to write down what I wore in every live so I don't repeat shirts. Last week I had on, I'll just go watch the video. I know I had a good one on. I think it was Back to the Future related. But obviously, Doc Brown, 1.21 gigawatts. This one won't be worn again. I also have a 1.21 gigawatt shirt, which is different than this. So that's in the rotation. But I'm telling you, I've got at least 60 of them. So yeah, got a lot. And just wanted to throw that in there. Okay. I know you came here for some Jenn spoilers. So let's get to that. So Jenn season starts next Monday night. And next Sunday night, I hope to have as much as I can laid out for you. You already know the winner, the final two, and all that. And you know a lot of the stuff. You know all the first 3 episodes. We went over that last week. But I do want to say that there was a trailer that was released this week. And I broke it down into the main stuff from the trailer that maybe you don't know. And I can identify some stuff for you. Because last week I just went over it verbally, and I'm sure a lot of you forgot it. I did put some pictures out there, but a lot of it was verbal. So I'm going to kind of bring up the pictures here. So this is the first one that I want to go over. And it is Jenn. And I can tell you that this is from New Zealand. Oh, excuse me. Wait a second. What am I talking about? Yeah, sorry. Duh. Obviously, the first episode is at the mansion, the other mansion that they use, and then episodes 2 and 3 that are in Australia. This is from episode 4 in New Zealand, and this is the skydive or skyfall. If you've seen this in New Zealand, that's New Zealand in the background. If you've seen this in New Zealand, it's not like a bungee jump, even though it looks like one. You're basically attached, but you kind of don't go out stretched. You kind of just fall. It's kind of like a sky fall. Now, here's the thing. We don't see another guy in this picture, but clearly she's on a one-on-one date, and this is her one-on-one date, and they do this kind of skyfall thing. By process of elimination, we know there's only one-on-one in episode 2, which is Marcus. In episode 3, it's Spencer. In episode 5, we know she has 2 one-on-ones, which we went over last week, Jonathan and Grant. In episode 6, we know she has 2 one-on-ones. Those are with Marcus and Jeremy. Well, considering we know that Devin wins and she is engaged to Devin had to have one of the 2 one-on-ones in episode 4. My guess is he got this one. I don't know who it is yet, but we know the only 2 one-on-ones we don't have identified yet, or I have not identified yet this season, are the 2 one-on-ones in episode 4. This is one of them, and my guess is it's with Devin. I'm also guessing that the other one-on-one in New Zealand is with Sam McKinney. It's just a guess. I think those are the 2 one-on-ones. If those are the 2 one-on-ones, then either Sam or Devin had this one, and then Sam or Devin had the other one. So going on to the next one. This is from the next episode, episode 5. This is her one-on-one with Grant. You saw it last week in the trailer of her horseback riding. So this is them after you see them on the horses. And this is her one-on-one with Grant in New Zealand in episode number 5. Let's go to the next one. These next 3, in the trailer that was shown, it's a very, I guess want to say they alluded to some possible drama, and this is where they started alluding to it. This is Jenn talking to Thomas, and then there's basically 3 pictures from this exact same scene, and this is Thomas talking to Devin out in the hallway, and then we've got Thomas and Devin in the hallway with Jenn listening in intently. And this is like some sort of drama where she's telling them, look, I'm going to find out on my own, or whatever the case may be. We don't really know. It's not, but you see that this was the little bit of drama they gave us in trailer that was released this week. This is from episode 2. This is the episode 2 rose ceremony. So, look, clearly with these particular instances, Jenn here talking to Thomas, and then Thomas talking to Devin out in the hallway, and then Jenn listening to them. You're looking at a very, very early season drama, if you even want to call this drama, because we technically don't even know what they were saying to each other, but there you go. And then finally, the last picture I want to show from this trailer is something that we kind of went over last week, and this is Jenn, completely different rose ceremony. This is rose ceremony number 3 in Australia. So if you look at it, I mean, the trailer this week didn't give much away, except for if you really want to go back and look at this one. This was the only one that was really kind of new. I mean, the Thomas and Devin talking to each other, somewhat new. We hadn't seen that before, but it's still, and it's episode 2. I mean, come on. Can't be too much drama in episode 2 already. And then the Grant one-on-one, which we know about this one where she's toasting Grant. But like I said, this one was probably the only one that I was like, wait a second, we have something here. And this is in New Zealand. And it's the first episode in New Zealand, which is episode 4 of the season. And it is the Skyfall date. And it's either with Devin or Sam McKinney. So keep that in your mind. So those are the spoilers for Jenn's. Now, something that's interesting is, what I alluded to a month ago, which was, hey, I had heard something happens in the first night of filming during the cocktail party that, shall we say, doesn't paint somebody who lasts a long time on this season in a very positive light. In fact, over 50% of the audience is going to not necessarily be in line with what this guy says. However, I said, look, I don't know if it's getting shown. I'll know more this week, but I'm already hearing rumblings that it doesn't get shown. So what does that do? Where does that leave me? Do I report something that's not going to get shown, that's immediately going to have more than half the audience side-eyeing one of the major contestants on this season? Or do I let, I don't know, another outlet figure it out, put it out there, and then just confirm it? I haven't decided. See, this is what I like about my new camera, by the way. I can put my hand here and kind of do the show like this, and I don't have to worry about it going in and out of focus because my other camera was shit. It was, 12 years old? Something like that. It was so old. So I like the fact that I got a new camera here. And anyway, give me the next week. Let me make doubly sure that scene is either left in the first episode or it's not in the first episode. And then let me decide how I want to do it, because this is going to turn into, hey, Steve, if you tell us that, and I'm telling you right now, I'm going to get heat if I put this out there. Guaranteed 1,000%. And it's just a matter of if I want to deal with it. And I'm not presenting something that didn't happen or I think might have happened. It happened. It was said. It's just not going to get, if it doesn't get shown in the first episode, it's now the only person out there reporting it would be me. And it's going to give a lot of the audience negative feelings about somebody on the show that lasts a long time. And it's like, I'm going to be responsible because I know that my words carry a lot of weight. I understand that. So kind of like how I said before Joey's season started, hey, Maria's going to be the villain this season. But I said it, I said it at a particular time. Yes, she's the villain, but I don't know how it's going to be shown. She's not a horrible person. It just meant in the definition of what a villain is in this franchise, Maria's the one girl this season
Hey guys, so we may have had a technical issue, so I will check on him. So unfortunately, I have no information as to Bachelor spoilers, but so we'll wait for him to restart, and then
Okay, now I'm back in.
there we go.
Just froze. Great. I just talked about this brand new equipment that I buy, a brand new $1,200 fucking computer, and I froze in my first show. How about that?
Nah, you're good.
Okay.
Continue.
All right, we're back. Anyway, where was I? So yeah, I was talking about the fact that I'm going to be the one reporting it. I'm going to take heat for it. The Maria thing was just, hey, it's how people interpreted it. I think there are people out there that realize that she was maybe, part of the issue. But there's some people that said, no, it was Sydney, it was Jessica, it was Medina, it was all those other people. I'm saying, okay, that's how you would think. But this is pretty cut and dry. It is, they are playing truth or dare on the first night, and somebody says something that, like I said, over 50% of the audience that watches this show is not going to agree with. And I'm hearing it's not getting shown. So we'll see. Let me first confirm that it's not getting shown and then determine how I want to handle this. So again, thank you all for tuning in. If you want to join the super chat, you can. If you want to, like I said, donate, and if you want to add anything, you can as well. I'd really appreciate it. If not, it's cool. We're all good. Okay. Let me take that off. Oh, we got to bring those back up. What am I talking about? We got to bring these back on. So I want to get to this next story. Okay. I teased this in my thumbnail, my crazy pregnancy story. Okay. Let me remove this for now, but I'm gonna have to bring it back on in a second. Let me get the picture set up. Okay. So back in 2015, I was dating somebody, and it was very, very toxic in terms of, there was a lot of things going on behind the scenes. I'm not going to say her name. There's no need to say her name. I want you to know, even as crazy as this sounds, I want you to know her and I are on great terms now. This is 9 years ago, like there's been a lot that has been said since then. There has been a lot that has been unearthed. There's been a lot that has been revealed by her over the years. So I just want to make that clear. But when I was in it, it was rough, just to say the least. So I want to just say this. This is somebody that we had been dating probably about 9 months to this point. And about 3 months earlier, in January of 2015, she told me she was pregnant. By the way, this is a long distance relationship. She was in California. I'm in Texas. She tells me this. I don't believe it, but once again, you're put in a position where a woman tells you something about herself. If you're immediately like, I don't believe you, bullshit, prove it, you just become like this callous asshole boyfriend. So it's like, okay, I'll go along with this. Let's just say that kind of came and went, and clearly she wasn't. I'll leave it at that. But I didn't know until about 2 months after that. I found out in March that it was never true. And I go to California in April of 2015 because we had talked, kind of worked things out, I guess. And my mistake, I'll be the first to admit, my mistake going out there in April of 2015, seeing her again at that point. I was in no place to see her. She was really in no place to see me, but We did. And we hooked up in April of 2015. However, that trip ended very poorly, got into a huge blow up fight. And I just said, look, this is it. I'm done. We can't keep doing this. We're not going back and forth anymore. I'm done. So there were some phone calls and texts of like, how can you do this to me? I thought we were going to be together, blah, 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 blah. And it just got to a point where you're just like, was it as excessive as Laura contacting Clayton 500 times and texting emails? No, but it was a lot. I still have some of the voice messages saved, actually. Not going to play those. But when I look at them in my phone now, actually, when I think about it, April 11th, she left me a 1.5-minute voice message. April 12th, 45 seconds. April 12th, 42 seconds. April 12th, 5 seconds. April 12th, 28 seconds. April 12th, 1:24. April 12th, 1:33 seconds. April 12th, 28 seconds. April 12th, 26 seconds. April 12th, 1:13. April 12th, 35 seconds. April 12th, 1:19. 12th, 30 seconds. 31, 1 minute and 54. So 10 voice messages on April 12th, 2015. At that point, I was done. I clearly wasn't answering the phone. I was sending her straight to voicemail. Wow, I didn't realize she left me 10 in a row. Maybe it was as bad as Laura Owens. So no, I can't I can't play those. I'm not going to do it. Although if I listen to some of those, it'll just be cringy for me. Because like I said, we're friends now. Like she knows she went off the deep end on me back in 2015. But that weekend happened. I go back to Texas. She was still trying to contact me for probably the week I was back in Texas. And then she kind of disappeared. It was like, whew, exactly what I need. However, she comes to me with this out of nowhere. It'd probably been, a month, because you'll see by this text I get from her. Blow this up for you here. May 23rd, 2015. She texts me, I wasn't going to tell you, not even sure that you'd want to know, but I'm pregnant. I haven't told anyone, just found out today, although I had a suspicion. And here's a screenshot of her period calendar in her phone. And me basically knowing there's no way this is true was, by who? And then she sends this. And then she says, you. I say, how is that possible? And then she takes a screenshot of what her period calendar is showing her. Her projected start date was May 5th. You saw by the other tweet. This text was on May 23rd. So she's telling me, hey, it's May 23rd. I was supposed to have my period starting on May 5th. I'm 18 days late. I go, how is that possible? She says, don't know. I just have to go see the doctor on Monday. Just thought you should know. And then I was like, well, I've never seen a period calendar before at that time. I'm like, I don't even know how to read this thing. What are we looking at here? She said, yes, I was just ending it when I saw you, her period. Sorry about all the period talk tonight, but it's relevant to the story. And I marked the intimacy days wrong on accident. The calendar should say the 10th and 11th, not 7th and 18th. So let's go back to the calendar. So I saw her the weekend of April 10th, 11th, and 12th. I believe we hooked up on the 10th, maybe the morning of the 11th. I don't remember how many times, but it was that weekend. But she wrote it in her calendar as 17th, 18th, and 21st, or 17th and 18th. That's what she put the heart there. Intimacy days. I had no idea this was our time together was referred as intimacy days. Guess it was some outstanding lovemaking on my end to call it intimacy days. But so Even when she marked it in her calendar, she got it wrong. She's like, oh, yeah. I marked the intimacy days wrong. The calendar should say the 10th and 11th, not 17th. And it's like, okay, you see the hearts on 7th and 18th. 17th and 18th. It should have been on the 10th and 11th. Even I knew it was 10th and 11th. So I'm like, okay, so she's claiming that, oh, I started my period on the 7th. It ended on the 10th. I saw you on the 10th. We hooked up. Okay. So then after, hey, mark that, she sends me this. Guilting me. Take a good look in the mirror before you go to bed tonight and feel proud that you'd ever accuse someone who supposedly you cared about so much of being that kind of person. You knew me. Left the other part out. You don't need that. I never could have imagined this is who you really were in the end. You don't need a paternity test, not unless I was trying to get child support from you, which I'm not, and you're not going to be on the birth certificate. This is why I wasn't going to tell you, but the advice I received was that it was the right thing to do and that a good guy would do what's right. By the way, I never wanted or needed your money. Never wanted to trap you. This is all freaky now, reading what Laura Owens sent to Clayton, isn't it? Isn't this kind of exactly the same kind of wording that Laura would send to Clayton? You know, I can't believe you would do this. You would be this kind of person. I'm not trying to get child support from you. I never wanted or needed I'm not after money. I never wanted to trap you. These are all things. Is this a universal thing that women would say to guys that are literally trying to trap them? Because that's clearly what she was trying to do here. She was never pregnant. She's trying to prove to me she's pregnant by showing me a screenshot of her period app. Like, I could download a period app in my phone right now and just say, hey, I had my period on these days and my next one hasn't arrived yet. And it's 2 months later. Look how many days I'm late. Like, this isn't any sort of proof, which is why I knew this. You got to remember, this is 3 months after she had already faked one pregnancy on me. The fact that, yes, I'm an idiot for hooking up with her and getting back with her 2 months later. I know. I'm a moron. But anyway, so it continues. It's yours, and I'm sorry to break it to you. Jesus, this is Laura Owens. Like, it's your, like, Laura, like, tells Clayton, no, it's yours. I know, 100%. It is yours. Believe me, no one is more sorry than I am. I am 18 days late, and that starts from the day I ended my last period cycle, and my cycle is always 19 to 20 days. Always has been. You and I were close at one time not too long ago. I know you remember that. Count the days yourself. Yes, I can count. I'm very well aware how to count. You were the only person I'd been with. Another thing that Laura said to Clayton, this is unbelievable. When I found these, when I went searching for these this week, I was like, damn it. I cannot believe how many similar phrases my ex and Laura Owens used in trying to tell a guy that they were pregnant when they obviously weren't. I wasn't sure what your reaction would be. I'm glad I found out, which is her just being mad that I didn't bow down and say, oh my gosh, what do you need from me? Do you need me to come out there? All this stuff. That is so this is kind of leads me to my next point. And I want to talk about Laura here. So I'll bring this down because I only got one other thing to show. And this is kind of the other thing that I wanted to say about Laura is that there's a lot of talk, obviously. I've said it. Dave has said it. Megan Fox has called for it, where we're basically saying, look, Laura, the jig is up. Just come clean. Yes, there will be still people mad at you. Women who've had trouble conceiving, women who have had abortions, women who have had stillbirths. I get it. They're still going to be pissed off at you, but you're going to garner, I don't want to say sympathy, but you will garner a lot more, hey, at least she is acknowledging this. At least she's trying to realize her mistake. You'll garner a lot more attention, at least a little more positive attention, if she were to come forward and actually admit, hey, I just made the whole thing up. And I've said, like, look, her sister gave birth in June or late May or June of last year. Just say, I mean, it doesn't even have to be true. I'm sure definitely there's parts of it that is that Laura felt, holy shit, my sister just had a baby and here I am at 33 and, feeling that she should have a baby by now or should be married or should be in a relationship, which is nonsense. You don't have to be at that age, but I'm sure the fact that her sister had a baby played some role into right around, literally, her sister had a baby at the end of May, beginning of June last year, literally 10 days after her hookup with Clayton. So there's no doubt in my mind her sister having a child absolutely played a role in her behavior towards Clayton. So come out and say that. Say, I got in a really deep, dark place. Say that you were jealous of your sister and you felt the need, you saw your sister had a baby and I think it's a boy. And, I saw my nephew and I really wanted to be a mother and I just took things too far. Just say that. Here's the problem though. And the reason why I don't think, look, I've said for a while, she's never going to admit that she made this whole thing up. And another reason I don't think that she can ever admit that she made this whole thing up is because I don't think Laura understands that if she says she made everything up with Clayton, while that will be great, she still has two other guys. Greg, I keep wanting to call him Greg Grippo, Greg Gillespie and Mike Maricini. If she says, hey, I made everything up with Clayton, but guys, you got to believe me. Everything I've said about Greg and everything I said about Mike, that's true. Zero people are going to believe that. Because do you realize if she says, I made everything up with Clayton and I was never pregnant, do you realize how deep that runs? That's 9 months of lies and fake sonograms and fake doctor's appointments. None of that would be true because she made it all up knowing that she was never pregnant. But then she would expect you to believe, but you got to believe me when I say the Greg stuff, and you got to believe me when I say this Mike stuff and how he emotionally and physically abused me back in 2016. She's going to garner nothing because who would believe that after she just admitted everything was made up with Clayton? So while I don't think she was ever going to admit anything was made up with Clayton to begin with, I think you can pretty much assure yourself she will never admit anything was made up with Clayton, because then she almost has to admit everything was made up with Greg and Mike. And that would be 8 years of lies as opposed to just, well, it's not 9 months now. It's 13 months since their hookup was May 20th. But you know what I'm saying? There's just, because I think that there is a possibility, well, a very slim possibility that she says the Clayton stuff was made up, but she would stick to, but the Greg stuff and Mike stuff, no, that's true. And it's just like, Laura, you just admitted to Clayton being a liar. There's no way we're expected to believe, or they're not admitted to you being a liar when it comes to Clayton. There's no way you can expect us to believe that everything that Greg has put out there and everything that Mike has put out there was all lies too. And you're being truthful about that when you just spent 13 months of lies about Clayton. So unfortunately, that's not happening with her. Then the only other thing I want to talk about is this in regards to, oh, I'm sorry. Gotta go back to this. Oops, period calendar stuff. So I wanted to bring this up. Her lawyer, David Gingras, has not tweeted in about 6 days, almost coming on a week now. You can be like, yeah, well, Steve, he was on a yacht in Europe. No, he was tweeting from literally the day he got there and going at trolls and whatnot. So News 12 in Arizona did a report on Clayton. I don't know if you've seen it online. If you've been following it, you probably have. And I guess Gingras made a response to the News 12 News report. And the Seeking Justice for All Victims of Laura Owens, the Clayton's Justice Twitter account, said in response to 12 News' reporting, David Gingras now claims that Judge Mata did not base her decision on facts, but rather on gossip on social media. Kind of the same thing that I said last week in regards to Gingras. Like, judges don't like their integrity questioned, but this is what he said. We strongly disagree with the court's decision. We will be pursuing an appeal. We are confident this bizarre, unprecedented ruling will not stand on appeal. That conclusion was flat wrong, and it appears to be supported by nothing more than gossip on social media posted by Clayton's cult-like followers who have been bullying, harassing, and defaming Laura for months. Judgments based on gossip, not fact, have no place in our justice system. So for a guy who hasn't said anything in 7 days on his Twitter account to come out with this in response to 12 News story, which ran, I believe, Friday night. So they somehow got this statement from him, I don't know, Friday night, maybe even yesterday. Here's the interesting thing about Gingras' statement here. I don't understand what the point of this was. Do you realize that it's like, great, Gingras, this is just your opinion. And your opinion is now questioning a judge's integrity and their authority to rule on a case. So it's like, that's wonderful. This is your opinion, but you now have to prove this. And there's nothing, and your only proof on something like this, that Judge Mata basically came to her decision based on gossip on social media, his only way to prove that is to look at those 19 pages of minutes where she laid out the whole case. And I read the 19 pages. There's nothing in the 19 pages of Judge Mata's minutes that led me to believe that any part of her decision was based on something she read online or part of social media sites or gossip. I have a text here from Umberto, because I sent this to Umberto, who was the show stealer last week on the show. And he said, I don't have a lot of money, but I would bet all that I have on the idea that Judge Mata had no clue what was going on social media. And that's why this is so insane by Gingras. It's like, great, you think the judge came to a bad decision and didn't base anything that she decided her decision on based on facts. You think it all came from gossip and social media, and she was swayed by the media. Wonderful. Congratulations, Gingras. Now go prove it. How are you going to prove that asinine statement you just made about a judge? You're so screwed. What a moron. Anyway, so I just wanted to throw that out there. Those are the only 2 points I wanted to make about Laura and Gingras. So I wanted to get to your questions. I know a lot of you have questions, and so if you ask them, Brad is going to pull them up. But let's go to those of you who have donated in the super chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you for that. So let's pull the super chats up first and kind of get to those. Winks, thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you could be here every Sunday, I'd appreciate it as well. Because I know that you had contacted me about, being some sort of moderator. I'm fine with that as well on nights that maybe Brad can't make it, for sure. Congrats on being monetized already. Love your coverage of the stories and spoilers. Excited to see what your channel turns into. Me too. Like I said, we're going to go hard on Sunday nights for the next 2.5 months. And then once football season starts, I'm probably going to move this to Friday nights. And this super chat is going to be here every week now, because I was able to get monetized thanks to all of you who tuned in last week, because you gave me enough hours to get monetized on YouTube. So I really appreciate that. That's great. Let's go to the next one. Chris Jenner says, yet people say cases of faking pregnancy is uncommon. I know. You know what's funny? Here's the thing. When this Clayton case, when this Clayton case started last May, the thought of my ex-girlfriend and everything that she had done to me back in 2015, I never put 2 and 2 together. Not that it has anything to do with Laura Owens. What I'm saying is, it never dawned on me that I kind of went through the same thing with a woman that was extremely manipulative and was using me like, oh, if you don't do this, then look, I got the same threats that Clayton did. Unfortunately, the same suicidal ideations. And it puts me in a really tough position. The fake pregnancy was like, it was kind of easy to prove, because once again, when you say you're pregnant, there's really only 2 outcomes after 9 months. Either you're delivering a baby or you lose it at some point. I knew she wasn't pregnant when she sent me a screenshot of her period app, but I don't want to even say there was a 1% chance she was. They were like, oh, maybe I gotta hold out hope. No, I had been through so much with her at that point where I knew that I wasn't holding out hope that she possibly could be. I knew it was fake from the beginning. But the point being is so many things before that, a lot of the lies that she told me were lies that put her in a victim position. That I was in a car accident. That's why I didn't make it. And then it's like, okay, my girlfriend just told me she's in a car accident. Me, being the person that I am, very inquisitive, wanted to ask 1,000 questions. Wait, you were in a car accident? And you didn't call me for 4 hours? You didn't text me? You didn't let me know about this? Oh, well, I had my phone taken away at the scene. Okay. Biting my tongue so much during this relationship. And this is what I mean. But she tells stories that makes herself the victim. So if I question it, I'm the asshole boyfriend. But it's all part of a manipulation, clearly. And like I said, I know this sounds bad, but, to make a long story short, about 1.5 years after all this, after that text of what, from May 23rd, 2015, I want to say about 1.5 years later, it was around Christmas time of 2016. She had reached out, or maybe I had reached out to her. I can't remember who, it was so long ago. And I think she reached out to me and I said, I'll talk to you, but I want to have a heart to heart. I want to have I want some answers because I never really got any closure from everything. And there's a lot of things that have been running through my mind where I'm like, can I get some answers to this? And we had a very come to Jesus conversation where I went down the litany of things that I bit my lip on during our relationship. And I said, well, what about this when you told me this? Oh, yeah, I made that up. With the pregnancy, obviously the second time with the period app. Yeah, I made that up. The car accident. Yeah, I made that up. So just in my mind, like I always knew in the back of my head that she had made this stuff up, but I had never gotten the confirmation that I wanted. And I know a lot of people say like, look, sometimes you just don't get closure. And for 1.5 years, I didn't have any closure and it drove me up a fucking wall. Like I needed that closure. I needed to know that I wasn't going crazy in my own mind thinking, was I really neglecting somebody who was telling me things that may have been true? And it ended up all being bullshit. Everything that happened in our relationship where she made herself the victim ended up being a lie. And she admitted it to me. And from that day forward, we've been fine. Like I realized, and no, we hadn't, before you ask, no, we have not hooked up since then. I will say that she has 2 kids now. So, she's not married, but she has 2 kids, 2 great kids. When I was in California in March, when I went I went to Vegas for March Madness, and I went 2 days in California. I had lunch with her, met her 2 sons. Couldn't have been cuter. Great kids. 5 and 2, I think. Yeah, 5 and 2. Son's 5.5, going to be 6, and a 2-year-old. We went to Islands for lunch, and her and I laugh about it now. But yeah, during that time, she put me through hell. But the fact that she was able to admit it and was able to just say, I was just at a very, kind of the things that I'm saying to Laura, she was at a very dark time in her life, period. End of story. And so when I talk about, sometimes when guys say I have a crazy ex, it's not because, well, what did you do to make them crazy? I did nothing. She had some really deep-seated issues that she basically took out on me and made up a ton of lies. Look, I only told you about the car accident one. That's why she missed her flight. The other time she missed her flight because she gave up her seat to somebody on the plane. You know, they always ask you, hey, $300 if you give up your seat. I got that one time because she never got on a plane to come see me. She's like, oh, I was supposed to leave, but I offered to give my seat up because somebody ended up being a total lie. But see what I'm saying? Like she makes herself the victim in these stories because it puts me on the defensive of, God, do I question her on this? Like one time she was supposed to arrive at 1:00. She didn't arrive till 9:00 that night in Dallas, Fort Worth. Pick her up at the airport. And then it's like, do I sit here and berate her for like, why were you 8 hours late? Or do I just accept the fact that was another time where I just bit my lip. I just accepted the fact that, I could sit here and start a fight the second she meets me and, I meet her at baggage claim. Or I can just put it behind me and be like, she's here. Let's try and enjoy the weekend. And that weekend ended up being a disaster anyway, because that was rattling around in my mind the whole time. Ended up being a total lie. She overslept. And she knew that would drive me nuts. So she made up a lie that she gave up her seat to somebody for a voucher. It's like, this is what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's just crazy how this stuff all comes full circle looking at this Laura Owens and Clayton stuff. All right, next one, Brad. Greek Chicky, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Congrats on the new computer and camera. Thank you for what you do every day for us. Hope to be in Vegas this next year. I had to skip this year's. Yeah, I hope you can make it. Obviously, I'm working on next year's, starting next month. I'm going to sit down with, try and get a sponsor for this, sit down with my team that sells my advertising on my podcast. And we are going to try and make this as big as we can. So I'm not limited to 100 people. I can tell you next year, assuming this works, it's going to be a live show for about an hour. And that's going to go into the party, because that's the easiest way to sell the party next year and to get a sponsor for it. Because this year I tried to do it late in the last 3 months and I just couldn't get sponsors to be like, okay, but what do we get in return, Steve? You just mentioning us on your podcast that your party is sponsored. It's much easier, I guess, to get a live show sponsored. So you've been to live shows. I think Caitlin does live shows, and Chicks in the Office and those people, they do live shows. Oh, I think She's All Batch did live shows once. By the way, I think I'm going to get She's All Batch to come on the live stream real quick next week. I think they do it. So you know what I'm talking about. So basically it would just be a live show for an hour, someplace in Vegas that has like a little stage area that's also a restaurant. And then we just go for like an hour or whatever, try and get some guests, because I'm not sick of it. I'm certainly not going to sit there and talk for an hour, have people come out. That would be boring. I'm already doing that on Sunday nights here. So yeah, that's the plan. And then get a guest, and then the live show ends and we just go straight into the party. So that's the plan. I don't want to have to limit it to 100 people this year. But by all means, you'll know when I announce it. I'm telling you. And the other thing is, if everything works out, I'm going to do it a week earlier next year. And I'm going to do it on my birthday, because it's also going to be my 50th birthday on May 31st next year, which is a Saturday. So the party will move a week earlier. And for the first time, it's going to be on a Saturday instead of a Friday. So that's the plan, that the party is going to be on May 31st next year, on my 50th birthday. And probably going to have a lot more family members there. That's the plan as well. The only family that's ever been to my party has been my mother and my niece, Olivia. Next year, I think my sister, my brother-in-law are coming, my nephew, my dad, my mom. And then I might even have some of my relatives in New York coming out. I don't know. Still early stages, but that's the plan. There's a chance that the ex whose texts you just read, who faked a pregnancy on me, there's a chance she might be there. Who knows? All right, next one. Ashley from Illinois, thank you. I've listened to your podcast for years. Happy that you're on YouTube now. So am I. I really am. This is fun. And remember, this is similar to what I did with Ashley Spivey. Remember, we did those on whatever night. Didn't we do them on Sunday nights? We just went Instagram Live and we did the split screen and we just took your questions on Instagram Live for an hour every Sunday night. So I feel like it's the same thing, except now it's just me talking. And I will have guests on other nights for sure. And I didn't mention yesterday, you probably saw it on my Instagram story, that I met JoJo and Jordan yesterday. They had one of their St. Sprit signings 15 minutes from me at a Target. So I was like, I might as well just go to this thing and see him. It's funny because when I walked up, JoJo didn't know who I was. I didn't expect her to know who I was because, not until recently, I've been more of an audio guy. I'm not a visual because I haven't had a lot of visuals. I've been on appearances and stuff like that, but most people wouldn't recognize me from my face. So I could tell you this right now. When I arrived there, they were doing their event from 11 to 1, and I got there 11:30. There were probably 10 or 12 people in front of me in line. And once I got to the front of the line, talked to them, took a picture, there were probably 10 or 15 people behind me. I mean, they were full the whole time, I think. People just wanting to, you just wait in line, you walk up. It's almost like Disneyland, taking a picture with a character. You just wait in the line, you walk up. And so she didn't know who I was. And I can tell you right now, I was the only male by himself. Like, any males that were in that line were either with their girlfriend or their wife. So I'm just standing there in line by myself. I walk up to her and I'm like, hey, I'm the only guy here, so it must be Reality Steve. And she's like, oh my gosh. And it's crazy because, before they moved to Puerto Rico, they used to live in Dallas. She lived in Dallas. When she was the Bachelorette, she was in Dallas. And for years after, I don't know what year they moved to Puerto Rico, but, her season aired in 2015. So when she moved, she was just, that was the one thing that was crazy, is that JoJo and I had never met. Not that everybody that lives in Dallas I'm supposed to meet, but it's just kind of weird that her and I had never run into each other. And then Jordan was on my Sports Daily podcast at the beginning of last college football season. And he looks at me, he's like, man, he goes, I saw you in line there. You kind of looked familiar, but I didn't know for sure. And then he's like, man, anytime, come on the Sports Daily. So he'll be on the sports podcast coming up probably about, I told him, I said, yeah, I'll reach out to you a couple weeks before the season starts. And, we'll talk college football before that. So expect Jordan to be on the sports podcast coming up. And maybe I can get JoJo on to, because when I had them on the podcast last summer, it was for the Big D, which has not, I totally blanked on that yesterday. I should have asked them about the Big D. They didn't bring it back I don't think JoJo and Jordan filmed a Big D season 2. So, but I should have asked. I wanted to ask, like, what happened? Is there a possibility? Maybe it goes to another network. I totally blanked. I should have asked that, and I didn't. But I had them on the podcast last year, and really all we talked about was mostly the Big D, but I did talk a little Bachelor and Bachelorette with them. So maybe get a little more time next time, and maybe I can get JoJo on. But super nice. And look, it was all explained when I was on, when they came on my podcast last summer. Like, I was the biggest critic of them, if not the biggest critic of them online during their season, right after their season. First off, I said they would never make it. I had stuff out there that I was trashing Jordan about. And, before they came on the podcast, I had apologized to them privately, to Jordan. I was like, look, man, it's one thing to have negative information, but I went hard on him where, look, I still think the stuff that I did reveal at that time was true based on the information I had. It's just, I was going so hard at him for it. And it's just like, nowadays, if I heard that same stuff, it's like, great, he was a player before he came on the show. Wonderful. So are most of these guys. But for some reason, I was just going after Jordan. I'm just like, this isn't going to work. He's a total player. And look, I still think to this day, you listen to what they said on my podcast, you listen to what they said on the Big D, they struggled in their first year together. And I don't know, they didn't go into detail about it, but I'm sure it had to do with Jordan's, pre-show behavior and pre-show reputation. But here we are in 2024, and this is back in 2015. I think he's actually, he's done a 180, and good for them. But my whole point was, man, I went too hard on you. I shouldn't have been that hard. All right, next. Where did your podcast episodes go to on YouTube Music? That's a hell of a question. My first question back to you is, I'm going to answer your question with a question. What's YouTube Music? I don't listen to music on YouTube. What is YouTube music a thing? I don't know. I don't know what YouTube music is. So I tell you, the best two places to listen to my podcast are on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I just wouldn't trust. I know Google Podcasts have like now been dropped. They're not even a thing anymore. So just listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That's going to be your best bet. All right, next. Just Jen says, I've been following you since you began spoiling seasons. I love this format for you. Hey, I enjoy it. I don't know why I took 7 years off of the whole kind of video thing. But then again, Ashley and I were doing them up until, COVID. So I guess 7 years on this, on YouTube, basically. But Ashley and I went a good year, right? Didn't we start during COVID because we were just bored? We had nothing to do. Yeah. But thank you, Jen. I'm enjoying the format. I like the fact that I have all new equipment. And I guarantee it, put it this way, it's not going to be very long now that I already talked myself into it. It's not going to be very long before I get a microphone that attaches to my desk and hangs in front of my mouth. I'm telling you right now. Because honestly, I want people to see my shirts every week because that's going to be a thing. And my microphone here, it's covered up. Like who doesn't want to look at Doc Brown? I mean, come on. So I guarantee I'm going to get a mic that attaches to my desk at some point. Robin says, I'm so stoked for Jones season. Yeah, I wish I had more information for you. I mean, they started on Thursday, the 21st. And it is, on Friday night, the 21st. And today's third. So they're 9 days into filming. We know that she had one-on-one date at Disneyland. And she had a group date the next day was at a community theater. That's all I know. So that means she had a full week of date. That means, so that was on Monday. Tuesday was rose ceremony number 2. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday would have been dates. Rose ceremony number 3 would have been last night. So I know no dates that happened in episode 3. So she's on episode 4 right now. Next one. Shauna, I'll come celebrate my birthday with you again. Yes, she came to the party this year and we have the same birthday. Or is it the same birthday or is it close? I think it was the same, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway. Shauna, glad you came to the party this year. And yeah, I hope you can make it next year. Next year, I'm going to have, like I said, having it on my 50th birthday is going to be kind of surreal for me. It's still surreal every year when I have it, but that one's going to be, I'm not a big birthday guy, but turning 50 probably be a bigger deal than turning 49 this year. So yeah, I mean, you can pretty much mark it in your calendars. The Vegas party next year is going to be May 31st. It's just a matter of where and, booking your stuff. You're still not on the invite list until, like I said, it's first come, first serve. Anybody can come to the party. And I've gotten a few emails from people who attended the party saying, Steve, thanks for allowing people of all ages to attend the party. And I'm like, hey, it's always been that way. It's first come, first serve. I don't hold out spots for anybody unless I have a limited amount. And if it comes down to somebody who's never been to a party versus somebody who lives in Vegas, I have to let somebody who's never been and coming in from out of town, I got to give them dibs. But hopefully next year we will, hopefully next year we'll be set to go and anybody can come in. Do we know when Golden Bachelorette is supposed to air? No, they have not given a start date, but I can tell you that it would shock me if it's not the very week after Jen season is done. So Jen season, looking at the calendar, is Jen season is July 8th, so next Monday. So episode 1, 2, 3, 4. Episode 5 would be on August 5th. Episode 6 in Seattle would be on August 12th. 7 is hometowns. 8 is overnights. September 2nd would be Women Tell All. Or Men Tell All and September 9th. So if they never double up on Jen's season, her finale would be September 9th. My guess is Joan's season starts the next week. I don't see why they would hold off much longer. I would actually remember Joan's. The one thing we do know is Joan's season is airing on Wednesdays. So it's either going to start that Wednesday, 2 days after Jen's finale. It's going to start Wednesday, September 11th, or it'll start the following Wednesday, the 18th. But that's just my guess. They have not announced anything in particular. So I want to thank you all for. Here's one last one before we get moving and end this thing. A favor: would you consider having the live show and the party at the same hotel so we're not having to shuffle from place to place? Oh, maybe I wasn't clear. No, the show and the party were going to be in the same place. Yeah. It's just like I said the show will happen and then the party will be wherever the show is. It's not going to be in a hotel room like the first 7 were. This year was the first time we ever had it in a restaurant. I would have done a show this year on 3 months' notice, but I asked the Grand Lux at the Venetian if can I do a podcast in your restaurant? And they said no. And when you looked at the layout, it made sense because people just going to Grand Lux for dinner didn't sign up to listen to a podcast. So it would make sense that, I can't have a podcast there. So that's why I have to find another venue. As great as Grand Lux was, food was the best we've ever had, I thought, even though I didn't eat too much of it. It won't be there because they can't take podcasts. So it'll be a live show that I just get off stage and we just have the party right there. It's not going to be at a completely separate place. So thank you all. I really appreciate you coming in. The podcast will be up tomorrow morning, the daily roundup, and then the sports daily will be up an hour from that. Thanks to all those who participated, who left comments, all those who in the super chat, anybody that donated, really appreciate it. So hope you enjoyed the pregnancy story. It's kind of fun to relive. It wouldn't have been fun, honestly, and I don't think I would have relived it if her and I weren't friends to this day. I just think it would have been too unnerving for me to relive that, not having any answers. But we're good. So thanks again for tuning in on this live stream. We're back next Sunday night, as always. Always pay attention on my social medias, Instagram at Reality Steve, Twitter at Reality Steve, the YouTube channels at Reality Steve. Just always pay attention here and there. And I might be, doing some at some point. I might be going live during the middle of the week sometimes. You'll know. I'll give you a heads up. And if something's breaking or something like that. But next Sunday night, the plan is to kind of lay out episode by episode stuff for you on Jen's season. I don't think I'm going to have every single thing, but I'm going to have most of it. Like I said, I'm up to probably 90% now. And the stuff that I have is like middle episodes, like episodes 4 and 5, just figuring out kind of who went home when. That's really it. Anyway, I really appreciate you guys coming in. We're back next Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, and 5 Pacific. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you next week.